but I have now officially gotten to the point where Brandon Aiyuk is a New England Patriot. I was saying to D-Butt before, like, who cares? This guy's 26. Give him 5 years, $150 million. Give him 30 a year, fully guarantee it. I don't give a shit.
How many picks you got to give, though, to the Niners?
I mean, here's the thing with the picks. Like, they're talking about the Browns and the Patriots being the two teams, and the Browns offering Amari Cooper in picks and the Patriots offering Kendrick Bourne in picks. But the Amari Cooper deal with Cleveland, like, that's a very similar situation to what they already have with Aiyuk. Like, Cooper's on the last year of his deal. They get him for 1 year. That's it. With Kendrick Bourne, like, he's a 3-year guy now. He just signed a 3-year extension with the Patriots, so they're not getting so much of a rental with Kendrick Bourne as they would be with Amari Cooper. It's not a rental. Obviously, you get Amari Cooper for a year. He's an unbelievable wide receiver. Kendrick Bourne, he's coming off a torn ACL, so maybe there is some hesitation there, but Kendrick Bourne also came from San Fran. Familiar with that entire offense, knows Shanahan, has friends in San Francisco that are already on the team. So it isn't the exact same situation, but I would assume it would be like a 2 or a 3. But also, anytime we project these type of deals where a guy is unhappy and wanting to get out of there, we think that there's going to be an absurd amount of picks, and then it ends up being not as much. Like with L'Jarius Sneed this year with the Chiefs and the Titans deal, he got, franchise tag, Sneed did, and then he didn't want to play on the tag, and then he ended up getting traded for like a second and a fourth, and that was it. And he was the number 1 free agent, at least the number 1 corner in free agency.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a chance that if a player like Kendrick Bourne is involved for the Patriots, that maybe you can get away with like a 4th-round pick being packaged with a player like that. But I think that the Patriots should be in the front seat here. Granted, Aiyuk can say like, "Hey, I'm not going to play."
Can Aiyuk turn it down? Does he have that power?
Yes.
Schefter pretty much said he, kind of has like a no
right of
trade
refusal.
clause. Basically, I don't want to go there, and obviously, a team wouldn't want to give up those assets if he's not going to sign a long-term deal. But even with the Kendrick Bourne thing, he's not at practice today, right, Connor?
Yeah, today's the first day Kendrick Bourne has not been at practice, and Gerard Mayo actually said in his press conference this morning before practice, like, "Hey, me and Kendrick had a good conversation, like, we're okay," but he is aware of the situation in the business of football. And normally if a coach were to say like, "Hey, we had a good conversation, don't worry," it would be one of those things like, okay, well, how good of the conversation was. But last week, the same thing happened with Judon, where Mayo was like, "We had a good conversation, everything is good," and then Judon actually ended up
But that was a
up.
contract dispute. With Kendrick Bourne, he's not saying he's hurt or anything.
No.
So he's strictly not out there because of these trade rumors?
Yeah, I assume
speculate.
so. Yeah, not to speculate,
But
but
I mean, Mayo
assume
he didn't say anything to refute that, right?
No,
like,
not at all.
He didn't say, "Oh, he's got a hammy or whatever."
No. They asked Mayo like about the Aiyuk kind of deal that is lingering right now, and he kind of just said, "Hey, that's an Elliott Wolf question." But when the Bourne thing got brought up, that is what he said. Like,
Let's
"Hey,
call Elliott. Get Elliott.
I know.
I don't see what's going on over there."
He hasn't been doing too much talking. I'm not sure if he's even right now kind of mandatory press conferences or whatever, or if he's open to the media. But I mean, Elliott Wolf has been kind of as far as a Patriots fan go, he's done everything right. Like especially in the draft, they drafted players they needed. Obviously Drake May, but then wide receiver O-line, like that is everything that the Patriots have been looking for the past 3-4 years. So as far as a Patriots fan goes, right now I do have faith in Elliott Wolf getting whatever needs to be done. Now for Kendrick Bourne, like you could see how he could be upset, but at the same time, like how upset are you about going from New England back to where you were from? Like, was drafted by San Francisco. He goes back home to San Francisco. And also, you immediately go from the team that is favored to finish last in the division to a team that is the second favorite to win the Super Bowl. So, like, of course, Kendrick Bourne has been one of the most outspoken pro-Patriots, pro-Bill Belichick, wants to stay in New England, loves everything about it. So that is the tough part as a Patriots fan. You want guys like that, but at the same time, and I said this to you guys before, like there hasn't been a wide receiver like Brandon Aiyuk in New England since Randy Moss, and of course Edelman and guys like that have been there, but Gronk has probably been the only guy close to him, but he plays tight end, and Edelman's a slot receiver. Like we haven't had a pure outside, give this guy 150 targets, deep ball, everything like Brandon Aiyuk since Randy. So that's why, as much as you love Kendrick Bourne, it's kind of one of those things where, hey man, like you're trying to get better at every single position, and with Aiyuk. Like, you got two rookie wide receivers, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, that, Kendrick Bourne also can be kind of a veteran in the room, of course, but you bring in a guy like Aiyuk who, he didn't have the greatest start to his career, you could say. Like, the first couple years for Aiyuk, it wasn't as if he did what he did last year. Like, he can come in as a 26-year-old veteran, still very young, and be that guy.
26-year-old veteran, yeah, with a lot. He's made a ton of plays in this league, too. Yes. He's only 26 years old.
And a lot of experience. Like, he's played in 2 Super Bowls. I'm not sure if he was on the first team, but he's played in at least 1 Super Bowl. He's been to multiple NFC championships. Like, it is one of those situations where if this deal is on the table and he is willing to do it, like, yes, get Brandon Aiyuk to New England, whatever it takes. Now, the Judon thing was the conversation yesterday. Like, hey, Judon's not happy. You could trade Judon. In this situation where you're losing Kendrick Bourne instead of Judon, that is so much better as a New England Patriots fan, just because of the fact that Judon is such a staple on the defense. But I'm hoping that they get this deal done. Send Bourne. If you have to send a second-round pick, go ahead, but pay him whatever he wants. Like, if he wants the $30 million, if you could do a 5-year, $150 million deal.
You want to fully guarantee this whole deal?
I'm not going to say no, strictly because
of course,
the fact,
it's not your money.
It's not my money, of course, and because these guys don't come up often.
Right.
Look around the league, look at the extensions. If we have that extension list that happened to the wide receivers this offseason, it is absurd. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson. You assume the Jamar Chase deal will get done at some point. Devonta Smith, Tyreek Hill just got extended. Jalen Waddle, these type of receivers, the top tier, and I would consider at least legit in that top tier. Legit number 1 contender. Here it is. DJ Moore, forgot about him. You need to take advantage when you have money, when you have draft picks to trade. You need to take advantage and go get those guys because they don't come up every year. And the assumption that, hey, if you don't get him, T. Higgins was going to be a free agent next year. Maybe, maybe T. Higgins gets traded. Maybe T. Higgins already wants to go to a specific place, and New England won't even be in that conversation. So I'm hoping the Aiyuk deal gets done legitimately within the next hour. And the reason Kendrick Bourne isn't at practice because he's on a flight back to San Francisco as we speak. But that's just where I stand. I'm assuming most of New England does as well, just because the prospect of adding a great player instead of, hoping that one of these rookie wide receivers turns into a great player. You can get a guy immediately that makes your team better immediately. So ideally, this is done now.
Yeah, I guess let's throw back to the hammer down. There you go. Studios, Tone Diggs. I hear that Bourne is not stretching with the team this year. A little birdie came in my ear and said he's not stretching with the team and he's possibly on the PUP list. Is that real?
Yeah, he is. He started camp on the PUP, but they said he starts every day by stretching with the team and then going to work out on the lower field. Now they're saying it's raining in New England today, so maybe that's a reason he's not there. Or he could be. Or he could be on a plane to 49ers. I don't know. Or
what about the Steelers, bro? I heard the Steelers ran on him, but now they already backed off. Is that true, Tone?
Yeah, so they said they didn't want to meet the demands of the 49ers as far as the trade was concerned, or the trade demands. The only thing the Steelers don't have the piece or the wide receiver like Amari Cooper, Kendrick Bourne. They're obviously looking for a wide receiver if that report is true. The only one that we have that they would want is George Pickens, and the Steelers are not going to trade George Pickens. So if it is a wide receiver that they want in return and they're asking for George, I could see that's why they're out. That's why they're not doing the trade demands, because it wouldn't make sense for them to do that. There was also rumors like Alex Highsmith, which would make sense, but I don't think they're going to trade him either because they love him across TJ Watt. Or, Connor talked to how the Patriots fans are seeing it. We, as Steelers fans, are seeing it. Hey, the Niners leaked this information out on the Browns and the Patriots because they want Omar to up his offer to go there. That's how the Steelers fans are currently
okay. Hey, let's go to someone that actually I'm sure knows a lot more than we do. He only has a few minutes because he's they're out there on the ground. Let's go to Adam Schefter, all things ESPN, all things NFL. Mr. Adam Schefter, welcome. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Hey.
AJ, how you doing there?
I'm doing well, Schefter. What's going on? Where's Brandon Aiyuk going? Is it already a done deal? He's going to the Patriots or what?
Well, first of all, I don't think the Niners have leaked out anything. I mean, this has been going on here where they've been trying to get a deal done, and I don't think that they've wanted anything out there. This is something that they've tried to keep private, and obviously people doing their jobs find out things and know that the two sides, the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk, have struggled to get a deal done. And the reason that they've struggled to get a deal done has led to these trade talks and the speculation that he could be traded. But it's a very complicated deal to get done. And you have to find a common ground for both Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers, meaning that if any team is going to complete a deal here, they have to satisfy the 49ers' demands for compensation, which could happen, but that same team also has to satisfy Brandon Aiyuk's need and want for a new contract. And so there will be teams out there that can pay Brandon Aiyuk but not compensate the 49ers, and there'll be teams out there that can compensate the 49ers but not pay Brandon Aiyuk. I don't expect Pittsburgh to be a landing spot at all. I think Pittsburgh, like a lot of teams, checks into this. Here's the price it would take from the 49ers. Here's the price it would take from Brandon Aiyuk. And every team has to make a decision about whether or not that would work for them. And inevitably, with most teams, it's not going to work. And that's why it's a hard trade to do. And if you're Brandon Aiyuk, there are going to be limited opportunities. So ultimately, you have to make the decision. Am I better off taking an offer from a team that wouldn't be my first choice to go to? Or am I better off returning to San Francisco, see if the two sides can figure out a way to work out a long-term deal that they have been unable to do throughout the offseason, and play this season on a deal that pays them over $14.125 million. And so the way I'm thinking about it is Brandon Aiyuk has got an unofficial no-trade clause in his contract because he doesn't have to sign a deal with any team. And the Niners don't have to agree to any deal with a team. It's got to work for both sides, and that's why it's a hard deal to get done. Everybody hears, oh, the Niners are listening to offers, and they think, trade them my team, trade them my. But it's a hard deal to get done. It could happen in an hour, and it could not happen at all.
Schefter, what's going on like right now? Who's talking to who? Who is Aiyuk's agent talking to multiple teams? What are they doing to try to figure this thing out?
Yeah, well, his agent's been trying to find teams that would be willing to pay him. And
what's he want? Do you know what he wants, Schefter?
Well, it's not hard to figure when you look at some of the teams in the league, what they're paying wide receivers. What are the top wide receivers in the league making right now? Right,
they're
35 for Justin. But yeah, 20. What do you think he wants, around the 28, 29, 30 a year?
North to 28, yeah.
I think you could come up with anything in that range right there and find that to be probably in the neighborhood of what he's going to be looking for from a team.
D-Butt, you got something for Schefter?
Yeah, I see you looking over your shoulder. Are you out there, the Giants? New York Giants?
Yeah, we've got the Giants. I got the Giants, Lions, and I got my daughter interviewing some players for Nickelodeon prime time. So I got a few different things going on here.
Yeah, all right, be safe, man. But real quick, I see the Broncos named Jarrett Stidham as their starter. What's the plan with Bo Nix? Is there a way to work him in later in the season, or are they just going with Jarrett and he's the guy going forward?
Well, they put down all rookies on their first depth chart as third string. So all rookies are listed third string. So that's not unusual. I still think that Bo Nix ultimately will be in play to compete for that starting job. Just because he's third string on the depth chart today, I just think that that's the designation that they're giving him. From everything I understand, he's been tremendous at camp. We know how they feel about him. I expect him to make a real push for the starting job in Denver.
Hey, Schefter, did they cut practice short because of all the fights going on, or what? Or should they be practicing right now?
They were supposed to be practicing until 12:15. It ended early, and I don't know that it was time.
Might be covered up your mic, Schefter.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. 2 straight days, these two teams have gotten into it. Today, there's punches being thrown everywhere. There we go. And so they probably said, you know what, we've seen enough today. Let's call it a day.
Nice. Ty Schmidt has the last one for you, Schefter.
Yes, Schefter, in the Aiyuk situation, I think everyone just kind of assumed that, hey, Amari Cooper would potentially be part of this deal. How would the Browns be able to make this work with their cap? With how much? They just redid almost everyone on the offensive line, it seems. Obviously, everyone knows what Deshaun Watson's cap number is. Like, how are they planning to make this work if Aiyuk were to go there to immediately give him the kind of money that he's looking for?
Yeah, they've spoken to the Browns, and there's been nothing done there at all. So I don't know how Cleveland would do it other than if it were to get done, Cleveland would have a plan to be able to get this done. Sometimes in trades like this, teams pay money down on players. So in this particular case, maybe the Niners are paying some of the money for Brandon Aiyuk or any acquiring player. There's a lot of different ways that these trades are made, but so far, the Browns and Niners have not been able to get it done, and just as important, the Browns and Brandon Aiyuk have not been able to get a deal done. Again, we come back to that, right? You got to satisfy two parties, any team.
There we go.
So all of a sudden, this comes out this morning, and Jet fans, Jets are going to trade for Aiyuk. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. Again, there's cap, there's players, there's teams, there's the individual, and Brandon Aiyuk, like I said, has some say in where he ends up because he turned down an offer from any team that would like to trade for him.
All right, wait, Schefter, I appreciate it. Make sure you maybe get a helmet on, get a Guardian cap on, protect yourself if they go back on the practice field out there. It's been a lively few days of practice, but thank you so much for giving us some of your time. I know you're all over the place right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Schefter.
Okay, one thing.
One thing.
Big upgrade. Yeah, bless him. Big upgrade without Pat. Big upgrade.
Whoa, come on, Schefter. No, it's not.
Get this guy off. Get him off. Hang on. Get a new microphone bomb, dude.
Yeah, we got to figure out that mic situation, too.
Yeah,
Al Capaccio.
Prick.
Yeah, call Sal.
Where
Sal
is
knows
Sal
how
when
to
you need him?
anything audio. Call Sal Capaccio or drumming as well. I know he
course.
teaches some of the best drummers in the world how to drum.
Yeah, that makes me think that the Patriots are going to get Aiyuk.
What?
Like even more so now.
What do you mean? He didn't act like super optimistic.
They can meet the needs better than any. Like they can meet the needs better than the Browns can. Like the Browns don't have as much money. And just from the Niners' perspective, and granted, I have no idea. But if you look at the Niners, there's that list of players that they have to decide on with like Kittle and Debo and
their team's going to look different probably a year from now.
Yeah. There's one other. Like with Cooper, you know he can't come back. Like you can't pay Cooper with all those guys. Granted, they could say, you know what, we like Cooper more than Kittle, but I don't see how that could happen. With Bourne, you can keep Bourne and still pay some of those guys.
What if it's a different? What if you trade for a different? It's not a receiver. It's a different position. Possible. It doesn't have to be a receiver. The Niners, I mean, they drafted Pearsall as well in the first round. Like they're stacked with some wideouts.
True, yeah. Like there are other positions for sure, and depending on what positions they're looking at, maybe that is why New England isn't this deal isn't done. But if it was strictly a wide receiver conversation, they could. Everywhere else, I'm really not sure. But I don't know where else the Niners have a hole to fill. Like if you take out, if you do take out, Aiyuk. Where else on that team
would they lose anybody? Who did the Niners lose from last year?
Is Greenlaw still hurt?
Greenlaw is the only one.
When will he be back?
I mean, he tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl?
He's so good.
Yeah.
So good next to Fred. But if the Niners lose Aiyuk, and I know some people may not see it this way, that window may close unless you get like a Coop in there because I like Kendrick Bourne, but you need like a legit one. And like the numbers Aiyuk put up, they're not as gaudy as some of these other receivers kind of mentioned. He doesn't get the targets.
He's got Christian McCaffrey, he's got George Kittle, he's got everybody.
Exactly. He got so many weapons, everybody's got to eat. So if you put him on a team where he's featured, but if you take him out of that recipe for the Niners, that's a big piece of missing because that's a guy on the outside that can literally win one-on-ones, 3rd and 7. Like he's going to win.
All the dirty work, too. I've mentioned it before. Every coach talks about, like, hey, and player, like Aiyuk does the stuff that nobody wants to do.
Exactly.
Like he's blocking dudes, he's blocking 50 yards downfield. I'm sure he's catching balls across the middle where you're about to get decapitated, at least, somewhat decapitated, not anymore as much with the rules. But, yeah, look at he's a legit number one. I asked you when I walked in, I said, what is Aiyuk the dude? Is he a guy? He said, yeah, absolutely.
I put him up there, top 7, 8. Top 7, 8. I got some side eyes, some groans
not
back
for
there.
Me. Not for me,
but when you just look at like his body work, how he runs routes, how he gets open, his catch radius.
I know it doesn't matter. Like you can't put a stat to it, but for me that matters.
All that other shit. All that shit matters in the locker room.
When your number one stud receiver is tough as nails and kind of like is in great, like he's with, like the whole team seems to love this dude. Oh yeah. Well, and when a guy's like that and he's a superstar and he's super tough like that, you nothing but respect from everybody.
I can't remember what the exact number was, but Pat mentioned a stat. It was like 75% or more of his catches resulted in either a first down or a touchdown last year. It's like, look at that average. Like he's averaging 18 yards a catch. Like, so yeah, he's not getting the volume that a lot of other guys are, but like, he's one of the key we always talked about Debo because he could he's doing like the scat back stuff and running the ball a bunch, but like without him their offense looks so much different. It just like then you expect Kittle's gonna have to catch a bunch more passes or you're gonna have to line Debo like outside
hope that
more.
Pearsall becomes
exactly
the next guy.
And no one's really talking about it right now. Everyone's just talking about Dak being like the getting $60 million next year and kind of resetting the market and everything and breaking the bank. But like in terms of them looking different, like who's to say Purdy's not going to get over $60 million? Like he might get one of these massive deals where it's like,
back.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know if you're talking about windows and everything and knowing what the Chiefs are doing. Like, yeah, I don't know. He's obviously very, very important to them going back to the NFC Championship or potentially winning a Super Bowl.
Any news on Trent Williams and what's going on with his contract? And it's an old school holdout where he's not there, correct? It's not the new school hold in.
Yeah, Schefter said yesterday, like 2 to 3 weeks from now is when they would start to worry.
Deadlines.
August 20th was like the date he put out there, for him to obviously ramp up, be ready for the regular season. But I think Lombo kind of mentioned it. There's certain guys that you can kind of play the game with, and there's certain guys who are irreplaceable. Even though he is 36, last year he was a top 2-3 tackle in the NFL. Nobody wants to line up against this guy. You talk about Brock Purdy, you want a guy protecting your franchise quarterback in his blind side. So you need to get Trent Williams done. Obviously him missing camp at 36, not a big deal, but you want to get him done sooner or later.